Hello and thank you for watching my videos. In this job, we just did a bathroom renovation on an existing home, and this is basically a crawl space for that same home. There's only one bathroom in this home and this is it. So what we're doing here is, because there's no bathrooms above this, we're doing what we call stack venting. And right now I have a test on it. I'm waiting for the plumbing inspector. But that on the left is a closet vent, and that's a trap for our tub, which is not connected yet. That's why it's a little cocked and crooked. And there's our PEX tubing, the red and blue tubing. So when you stack vent, which is what we're doing here, you're not required to run additional venting to each fixture. It avoids having to run more piping, so it's a more efficient way of piping it. And but everything has to go into the stack independently. So our toilet, which is way up high, and that's the top one going into that TY, and then there's another 3.5" TY picking up the tub. Above that, the vent continues and goes upstairs and picks up the kitchen and the lavatory. So again, like most of the jobs I've been getting lately, this is really tough on space. So as you can see, that's the floor, that's the ceiling. We had to crawl in here and do all this piping. So on our test rig, what we did is, on the end there, we have just a 1.5" clamp connected to a bushing, and that bushing is bushed down to a hose connection, and we have a hose here filling up the stack. So to stop the water from going down the drain, we have a test ball stuck up inside and pumped up to the proper pressure. On these test balls here that I'm using, this is an example of a test ball. This is a long test ball, and that one's for 3" and you pump that one up to 35 pounds, and you just pump it up with a standard bicycle pump, which I have right here. And now on the branches, we use these other type of plugs, the gripper plugs, and there's sort of a compression style, and as you tighten this nut, the bolt doesn't spin because it has a square thing inside stuck to the plastic, and that pushes out this rubber part and will actually hold the water. So on this particular job, we're not going too high. It's only going to hold, in Massachusetts we have to hold 10 feet of head, and so that's about what we have here, 10 feet ahead, maybe a little more, maybe 13. This part you have to be very careful with, because if I was to just deflate that plug, I have this whole slug of water, the test ball rather, if I deflated the test ball, this whole slug of water of 13 feet will just come right down, and I could possibly injure myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain it from this hose over here first to get as much water out of it as I can, which will be less weight, and then pull that plug. So I'm still going to get water, but I'm only going to get 3 feet of it. So this is the bathroom that we roughed out for, that you saw the plumbing for underneath in the crawl space. And this is a very tiny bathroom. This bathtub is a 4.5 foot bathtub. It's really tight, and the sink's going to go on that wall facing me. And there's the toilet. This is our rough out for a Simmons valve and a shower head. This shower head is really close to the ceiling, so what I'm going to have to do is, I'm not going to be able to put a shower arm. I'm going to have to put a 45 on it, and then the shower head. So here's that same stack that came up from downstairs on top of that TY, and this comes out for our lavatory sink. Down here is actually the kitchen. I don't know if you can see that because they stuffed all this insulation in there, but there's a TY there picking up the kitchen sink on the other side of the wall. So in Massachusetts, we are required to run the kitchen drain independently into the stack. So that means we can't twin it together with anything else unless it's 3" or larger in diameter. So right here, now at this point, this is our vent stack, which is defined as 6 inches above the flood level rim of the highest fixture served. So here's our TY, that's why it's upside down, and that's picking up a vent, and I'm going to drop that through all the way into the basement. this vent continues on and goes up and through the roof. We had a lot of structural members in the way here, so we had to just make it work without cutting or notching these main structural beams here. So that's why there's so many turns on this. Again, these gripper plugs right now, they're holding, you know, all the water in because the stack is full, and I'm waiting for the plumbing inspector. But if anybody was to pull this plug unknowingly, they'd be in for a surprise because they'd get a ton of water shooting down on them. So thank you for watching my videos.